Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. There's been a defeat for the Scottish Greens, but it's not something we really ought to be celebrating. Whilst it's always good to see them have their flagship policies rejected, and I notice they still haven't walked, what has got through must be truly frightening. We are going to have a look at this. Some things have been rejected, some things have been accepted. Those that have been rejected, it's good. Those that have been accepted is absolutely terrifying when you see what it could lead to. This is all about voting ages, and about voting eligibility. It is harmful, I think, to democracy. I think it is destructive to Scotland in such a massive way. And I would suggest that everyone really needs to hope that this fails. I suspect this may be something that even could be Section 35 when one looks at the potentiality for foreign involvement in British democracy. Hold on to your hats, because this is actually a lot deeper than first it looks, and we're going to explore it. Here goes. So, Scottish Greens left out in the cold by the SNP again, as plans to allow 16-year-olds to stand for election are dropped. And quite right too. You want elected officials to be able to relate to your issues. Tell me at what point some 16-year-old will be able to offer any useful input to life. They've done nothing. They've achieved nothing. What's the most they've done? Nothing. They don't know anything about working, about earning money, about economising, about running their own homes. They know nothing about relationships. They don't know anything about childcare. They know nothing. And yet the Greens think that these people are suitable to stand and represent us. I don't care if someone is young, but I want them to at least have been out there and experienced life in all its marvels and glories and horrors. Imagine some you've got a 16-year-old MSP, and someone comes up, a constituent comes up and says, I'd like to talk about provision for abortion care with problems with children and things like this. What on earth is that 16-year-old going to talk about? What do they know? They'll probably be busy sniggering their brains. Remember as well, these are the people who say that 25-year-olds are too immature to know what R-ing a child is. And they want 16-year-olds to be representatives of the people. Madness. And thankfully, it's been rejected. Now, this was one of those things, a red line for the Greens. They were going to walk if they didn't get it. Well, they haven't got it. And I'll tell you what, they haven't walked. So we know that these people are full of pish. Absolute ball bags. But that is only the beginning, because where we're going to go on this little journey, it won't take long, but when you can see what's coming, you will be pulling your hair out. The Scottish Government rejected proposals to allow those aged 16 and 17 to stand for election for Holyrood and local councils. But they did extend this right to stand for Holyrood and local councils for those on temporary visas to Scotland. So not Scottish citizens, not people who ever lived in Scotland, not people who are permanent residents of Scotland, not even people who are vaguely aware as where Scotland is. But somebody can come on a temporary visa and stand as a councillor or an MSP. How is this possibly right? You're inviting foreigners who may not have the vested best interests of Scotland in their heart, who have no direct allegiance to Scotland, to stand there and be elected into office. And we know exactly why this has been pushed through, because we know exactly who these people on the temporary visas are. They're people in Humza's gang, aren't they? It's a way of him getting over family members, stand for Parliament, yeah, we'll get you in, and flooding the boards. This is an invasion. This is where the indigenous people will suffer. This is nothing other than white eradication, lined up as freedom for vote representation. How about we bring a law in saying that only nationals can stand as representatives? No foreigner can stand. No foreigner should even have a vote, let alone standing in an election. If foreigners want to vote, they can bugger off back to their country and vote in their country. Because I guarantee if I went to, say, for example, Pakistan tomorrow, I couldn't stand in their parliament. I couldn't vote in their elections. And isn't Pakistan very, very non-diverse? There's not a single white politician in Pakistan. How very undiverse that is. Why is Hamza Yousaf moaning about this country? White, white, white. Let him show me one white politician in Pakistan. Can he do it? No, he can't. So he needs to really be taught a lesson. But to allow foreign nationals to come in and stand as representatives when they're not even here they're not even nationalised, naturalised. They're just out on a visa. It's like me going to the States and running for president. Would never happen. They've actually got rules against it. It's illegal. You have to be born an American citizen. You have to be born in America, brackets, or on an American military base, close brackets, in order to be the president of the United States. We need to bring in similar laws here. But this is madness. This is handing over your country to foreigners. It's an invasion and nobody has even picked up a weapon to defend it because they're all too shit scared to say no. All these representatives that are voted in by the SNP, because it's the SNP that are pushing this through, all those SNP voters, you're voting to hand your country over to a foreign invading force. Well done you. Well done you. Might as well give Scotland away now. Let someone have it, because it won't be long, and it will be the Islamic Republic of Scotland. You won't have a say. You will have your votes removed because you aren't in the club. The Scottish Greens have once again been snubbed by their coalition partners after the Scottish Government dropped plans to allow 16-year-olds to run for Parliament. Yeah, what were they going to do? Well, I've got a council meeting tonight, but I've got to get my own work done first. This was a policy pushed forward by the Greens, who wanted to ensure everyone who can vote can also stand for election. Well, everyone who can vote can't necessarily drive a forklift truck or drive an HGV. There's age limits. Let's have age limits. Let's have IQ limits as well. But in another brutal snub to the Butte House Agreement, not that brutal, they haven't walked, these proposals have been axed following an overwhelmingly negative response to the consultation. Basically, they went out there and said, "Should we do this?" And everyone said, "Are you joking? Are you that mad? Are you so crazily out of your head that you would trust a 16-year-old to create laws for the people of Scotland? Seriously? These people can't even pick up and clean their own damn bedrooms half the time. Never mind creating laws. What on earth possessed anyone to think this was in any way a good idea?" And one only has to look at the youngest MP ever in Parliament, Mary Black. What's she done? Nothing. Apart from make an arse of herself and rub Kit Kat into her gums, up her nose, everywhere. Anyway, safeguarding concerns were brought up by Scots, as well as the effect on education, as the teenagers would probably still be in school. Yeah, 16 years of age, got to do your own work, I can't come tonight, got cubs. Load of bollocks, isn't it? It's a load of bollocks. What's wrong with these people? What is literally, there must be something inside them that is broken for them to even propose it. Now, we know why the Greens want a lot of very, very young people in Parliament, because they want access to these young people, because we know that they're all, most of them anyway, You've only got to look at Maggot Chapman. Oh, we want lots of young people. Oh, my colleagues are like young boys. Oh, look at this. Nice little 16, fresh-faced little 16-year-old boys. I've got just the man, office for you. And then she gets them in because that's who they are, let's face it. Anyway, people aged 16 and 17 in Scotland can still vote, but cannot be voted for. That's damn well right. I don't even think they should have the vote. They don't understand issues. They vote from a left-wing view because they've been brought up in the left-wing schooling. And they think, oh, which is better, refugees or nuclear bombs? Well, let me tell you, when the Russians come hurling over that hill in a couple of years' time, what are we going to do? Throw refugees at them? Anyway, the Scottish Greens have a written commitment from the SNP and the coalition to promote legislation on electoral reform that enables more people to stand as candidates at the Scottish Parliament and local government elections. I don't mind more people voting. But foreigners and children? No. There's got to be no. The Scottish Government's new Scottish Elections Representation and Reform Bill does not include the extension of candidacy rights to 16 and 17-year-olds. Thank heavens. And this is because they have reflected on the concerns around the potential exposure of young people to intimidation. Can you imagine some 16-year-old coming up against me, opening my door? All right, then, you're going to start, tell me this, tell me that. I ask questions, and he's going to go, there's the nasty man saying terrible words. And they'll shit themselves because I will sit there and I will question them aggressively. Won't raise my hand to them, but an aggressive questioning. And I'll ask them, I'll use all the right words, and they won't know how to handle it. They're all milksops. They're all snowflakes. They can't handle the nasty man with the bad words. What on earth are they going to do when they meet people like me? Or worse. It's a joke, isn't it? It's a bloody joke. Anyway, the new we haven't finished yet, mate. Listen, we're going. Nearly there, but soon. The new legislation does include some other reforms, including allowing foreign nationals living and working in Scotland on a time-limited visa being able to stand for Holyrood or their local council. Examples of those include people with student visas, work and business visas, and certain visas given to family members and dependents. So, Johnny Foreigner can bring in half his family, flood all the councils and go, let's change the rules. Yay. And you'll have entire families. Because, of course, in certain wards, you know, the wards I'm talking about, they'll just get voted in. And in certain constituencies, they'll get voted in because they're very strong on that gang, for example. And the next thing you know, the whole of bloody Parliament will be controlled by Johnny Foreigner. And Johnny Foreigner doesn't like the native Scot. Oh no, the indigenous, nah, you'll have your rights removed, you'll have your freedoms curtailed, you'll be taxed to balls, and they'll be sitting there going, ha-ha, ka-ching. And then inviting over, let's invite another 1 million people to come in. New Scots? Oh well, there we go. Well done. This is what happens when you allow morons the power to do these things. Anyway, it will also ban people from being MSPs if they're found guilty of intimidating MSPs, councillors and campaigners. Now, here's the thing. There's no definition of what intimidation is. So what they could say is, oi, you wanker. Oh, that's intimidation. Bang. I'm banned. I can never stand. That's how bad this is. If you say one bad word, that's intimidation. You can't stand as a councillor. You then don't have a democratic right to go and change the laws. You cannot get people to vote for you because they agree with what you're saying, but you disagree with what they're saying. They just go, bang, you were intimidated. They're closing down the argument. They're removing your rights and freedoms. This is a terrible act. Please God, Section 35 this act. They haven't banned people who are on the sex offenders register. Well, of course not. Half the current bloody SNP councillors would be off, wouldn't they? You'd never get them to stand. Patrick Harvey. Not Patrick Harvey. Well, probably. He's not on there, I know. But the other one. The other Patrick. Grady. He'd be gone. Well, he is anyway, but yeah. If you banned anyone with a bit of sexual proclivities on there, bang. Holyrood would be empty. Maggot would go, wouldn't she? Probably Harvey eventually. He hasn't been caught yet, but it's a matter of time, isn't it? Anyway, the SNP Minister for Parliamentary Business, George Adams, said, a robust electoral system is fundamental to the success of Scotland being an inclusive and vibrant democracy. Have you asked everyone if they want this? Let's put major electoral reform to the people. This has surely got to be a referendum moment when you're changing the democratic makeup of a country so vastly without any kind of mandate. You've got no control over it. You need to offer this to the people and let the people decide. I would suggest that it either gets Section 35 or at the very least it goes to a referendum. But they won't, will they? They daren't put this to a referendum because they know they would have their arses handed to them so fast they'd be coming out their bloody mouths. Anyway, I'm not angry. I'm just I can't believe, unbelievable that this is happening. Unbelievable. And it's dicks like this. Look at him. He looks like a spunky fucking knobhead, doesn't he? The spunk coming out the top of his fucking head. What a dickhead he truly is. Anyway, I'll stop and I'll come up, but it's just unbelievable. Let me know what you think. But yeah, we'll round this off. I think I've said enough on that video. I'm not going to add any more, but do tell me down in the comments exactly what you think. It's madness. Madness. Anyway, thank you very much. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.